Hello everyone, my name is Linkzzey and welcome to my 48,000 day hardcore Minecraft world. In the last episode I built a mist, a dragon bridge, a coral temple, and a fancy cliff to support it all. For the interior, we're going to be adding a coral farm, sea pickle farm, cactus flower farm, blue axolotls, and much more. We will also have to connect it to the main nether hub for faster and safer travels. This will require more than 100 beacons. Not only do we have all the wither skulls, but we also have all of the obsidian to go along with it, thanks to the wither skeleton farm, the gold farm, and the bartering farm. Now, just time to dig it all out. But first, we've got a lot of terraforming to do over here, and as you guys can see, I've been hard at work. I've now gone to the point where I've started mapping out exactly where I want to put all of the waterfalls and all of the ponds and everything like that, just to bring in a little additional detail to this entire build. So let me show you guys exactly kind of what I have planned in a way. Over here, you guys can see I already have a waterfall cascading down here. It won't end off like that. I will map out a little bit more of this top bit right here just to kind of like make it flow a little bit better, if you will. But I'm also going to have other waterfalls cascading off of here too. So I'm going to have one over there. I'm going to have another one right on over here. I'm going to have some split ones as well. So we'll have some ponds up here. They're going to kind of cascade down. Everything is super rough draft right now. So I've just kind of got like a little bit of the mud in place, but I will be terraforming pretty much everything, and then I'm going to be incorporating all the water as we go. These plateaus over here, I've got additional like little like ponds. We'll have bridges, like little diagonal bridges kind of coming along here. We'll have waterfalls going down here, and of course we're going to be incorporating a lot more coral into everything, so this will all be mudded out. We'll have little bridges coming across here. It's going to connect up to the build. We'll have pieces of the actual build like kind of go down and descend down into the ponds, especially on over here. We'll have like the foundation of these pillars go all the way down. Same thing with this. I think that will create like a really nice depth and dimension to this whole thing. But overall, I think incorporating a lot of the water into this build was something that we definitely needed. On the inside of the build, I have hidden a little bit of a cactus flower farm right here using a sand pusher basically. So pretty straightforward. I click a lever, I shift all of the sand on over, and then I come by and I come pick up all of the cactus flower, which I absolutely love in this build. Just get that guy out of here. I think it's like a really nice like coral look, and it's got a lot more of the pastel color that I'm looking for, something that's not so vibrant like all of the other corals in the game. We do have to replant all the cactus afterwards. I don't really know of much of a better way to do this without having to replant all the cactus. We could probably use like flying machines or something if we really wanted to, but I think we would end up losing a lot of our cactus flowers due to the cactus actually destroying it. But don't worry, this isn't going to be the final result of this build, because obviously this cactus flower farm is quite ugly. But ultimately, the best thing about these cactus flowers is you could basically place them on any block in the game, which I absolutely love. Speaking of love, I love the composition of this build and how everything is just perfectly like kind of like framed out, as you will. I'm going to have upper and uppers. I'm going to have upper cliff sides on the backside over there. But Minecraft just announced a new additional mob to the game. What do you guys think of the copper golem? I think that the copper golem I could pretty much use in these areas right here to keep myself organized as I'm building up all of these mega builds. I can have like maybe like 4 copper golems up on this platform, constantly item sorting everything in the game. I really hope they allow us to use shulker boxes and not just chests in the future. And before you guys ask, yes, I will be most certainly putting copper golems in the bottom half of my storage room, but there's one big major problem. I use barrels down here, and I'm not going to be using chests down here. I think that chests are not only super laggy because they're entities, barrels are a little bit more lag friendly. So like I was saying, I really hope that they allow us to be able to use the copper golems not only for chests. Please, Mojang. But the copper golem wasn't the only thing that Mojang added to the game. There was an additional mob in the game that traverses the skies, if you will, and I think would go beautifully all the way out here. But there's just one minor problem with that, and that is the fact that I'm only in 1.21.5. And I think it's about that time that we start getting ready to updating to 1.21.7 so we can get ourselves some happy gas. Oh, and I'm also trying out some really cool fogs in my world right now after watching B-Dubs' new video talking about fog and light refractions and all that fancy nerd stuff. I think it's I 100% agree with the guy. I think it really does tone down the contrast of stuff. It makes everything look a little bit further away from one another. That castle back there, you can hardly see it. It's just a silhouette in the background. Same thing goes with the seed vault. And of course, as we fly a little bit closer to the seed vault, everything kind of becomes a little bit more of the focus as we fly towards things. So let me know what you guys think about the fog, because I'm trying it all out, knowing that once I update to 1.21.7, unfortunately, I'm not going to have the exact same fog, but we'll see what 1.21.7's fog looks like, you know? So there is a question that I would love to answer for all of you guys because I get asked it so frequently. How do I update my hardcore Minecraft world? Especially because it is such a massive world to update. Well, it's no different from all of you guys. I pretty much update all my mods, my data packs, and my resource packs. I pop it all into my Minecraft folders, and I hope for the best. More often than not, though, I always wait for a more stable version of the game to be coming out. And a lot of the time, I end up having to wait for a lot of the mods to be updated because there are some pretty critical mods that I'm not able to update without, such as Baby Mobs Forever. But what exactly is that mod used for? Well, let me show you guys. So if I name tag a mob, like if I just give them a name, as they're like babies, they'll never grow up. And Sin is actually the person I'm actually building the coral build for. As you guys can see, she's got a lot of cool coral blocks here. She also has like a baby fox and everything like that. But if I did update without the mod, all of those guys would grow up. And we don't want that. But the real question is, will it work with the gas links? Because I'm not 100% sure. And I can't wait to find out. So in terms of fog, I don't know if there's much of a difference. I don't know if it's a placebo effect or what, but Seed Vault looks the same-ish to me. That castle right in between there kind of looks the same to me, but we're now currently in 1.21.7. There is some differences going on here. It does look very hazy. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys are liking the fog on or off. I could turn it off. I have no problem with that. Let me show you guys actually a little bit of a difference between having fog on and having fog off. Actually, you know what? On second thought, I think we're going to keep the fog on because what the heck is this line here? Is that supposed to be the horizon line? Well, hold a minute, dude. Why is that so ugly? What the heck? I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a mod or if that's a vanilla thing. We're just gonna turn back on our fog and hopefully that will just like fix that. Yeah, that looks much better like that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not really quite sure exactly what that line is, but I think that's the horizon. Oh, and also if you guys look at the top left-hand corner, I've got my FPS up there. I'm just kind of running some tests in here. I want to see if there actually is a little bit of a difference when it comes to FPS in this game, especially in 1.21.7. because I was kind of low-key struggling with the last few updates, but this update, 200 frames, 130 frames, it seems pretty solid. And before you guys ask, this is a sodium extras mod. It basically lets you display your FPS. You can also do your coordinates, and this is also where render. Oh gosh, this whole thing looks different. This is also how I turn off all my beacon beams in the world. Using just the sodium mod, basically. Now, there is one thing I definitely want to test out, and that is the bartering farm. I want to see if the bartering farm is going to give us any of the cool dried gas. Although, admittedly, I don't really know if it has to be a brand new piglin or what. Ain't no way, dude. Check it out. I don't even want to touch it. I don't want to touch it because I want to be doing this live on stream. Holy smokes. Well, that's incredibly exciting. I'm going to have to wait for the next day so I can show live stream, and then we can mess around with all of the happy gas stuff. I don't know if there's any advancements to go along with the happy gas, but we got to craft up some saddles and we got to do all that fun stuff. But now they're on 1.21.7, we can explore all the cool things. First, we're going to make ourselves a happy gas saddle. Then I'm just going to start hydrating the dried gas in the lake in front of my base right over here until the cutest thing happened and they finally rose from the lake. And then proceeded to start feeding them snowballs so they would grow up a little bit quicker, but they are a little bit hard to get, so I started actually throwing them at them. Now the happy gas in all of its glory right here, slapping a saddle on them. And then I quickly took to the skies. And I mean quickly, because look at how fast I'm going. And in about 20 minutes, I made it to the very top of my base, and I was questioning my decisions at this point, whether I actually wanted to go up any higher. To only descend down moments later, because it wasn't worth it. And before you ask, yes, you can dinner bone the happy gas. And of course, take to the skies just like the movies. Then I had to get the new discs, starting with the new gas disc, then the new lava chicken disc. Well, that was a good time. Back to the build. I've already got a happy gas over here helping me out with everything going on. This boy right here, his name is, let me see if I can land on him. Rock the Gaspa. Thought that was a really neat name. Thanks to Badger for naming that over on the Twitch stream. Thought that was perfect. But I've started incorporating all of the waterfalls now. So I've got a little of the water coming down here, 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 over there. And I'm slowly starting to do up all the water down here. And then don't worry, I'm going to pretty it all up and do all the gradients and all that fun stuff. Because obviously going from mud to andesite ain't the vibe. But I'm absolutely loving the way that the fog looks with this whole build. It just looks very misty, if you will. Obviously going with the whole Mystic Falls vibe that we've got going on here. Also, those new music discs were awesome. Let me know what your guys' favorite music disc is down below. And let's get back to it now, shall we? Well, I absolutely love the way that all of the texturing is all shaping up over here. I've done pretty much everything in the vicinity, making everything just blend in and look absolutely lively. But you guys were probably wondering what I was just on top of, and that is the coral dragon. Yet to be finished. Obviously, there's a lot left to do, but I built the entire thing primarily out of red fire coral and the prismarine. I think it's just prismarine, right? Something like that. I want to make it look like this fire dragon or this coral dragon swims underneath the water, so I gave it a little bit of a fatter tail so it's able to move swiftly. I'm thinking about adding little like clouds underneath its feet so it looks like it's kind of like running, and it does kind of look like a ferret now that I really look at it. But what I will say is that I really enjoy the shape of the dragon. I think it's extremely lively. It looks like it's going places. I love the color. There's obviously a lot left to do, so I'm probably going to incorporate some white spikes on its back just to kind of bring out more of that prominence there. Maybe add some glass to make it look like he actually has a fin back there. We'll add some hands because I don't really have any hands right now. And we'll, of course, add some legs. And I only have one leg and one arm and one leg, but I still have to do the backside of the dragon over here because he only has one of each. So I need to give him another additional leg on the backside. We need to give him an eye. We need to give it like, this is supposed to look like kind of like an axolotl kind of deal right here. That's kind of like what I have in mind. And I'm probably going to go with like a nice color to kind of just blend in with the rest of the dragon. But what do you guys think of the dragon so far? Let me know in the comments. As for all the terraforming though, oh my god. This is a little bit of a different perspective on all of the shading that I've pretty much done. I've gone from mud over to the basalt, deep slate, tough, love the pale moss, transitioning over to stone, andesite, wool, and concrete powder. So yeah, it's quite the gradient working its way on out here. But as we like kind of like walk through here, it's just, if I can make that jump, it just comes to life, which I absolutely adore. I'm still trying to bring together all of the lighting for the build right here. We will be doing the interior. This is supposed to be like kind of like a beaded door kind of deal. As we come in here, I need to figure out all the interior walls, the floor, the ceiling. Lots to be done in here still. But walking on over here, jumping this, probably gonna build some bridges. Let's walk our way over here, and I can show you guys a little bit of this side over here. Actually, this is a good, this needs to be done because there's a straight line right there. I don't like it. But just like over here, absolutely beautiful. I love the way everything's shaping up. I added in the cobwebs to look like the water's moving on in here. I gave up on tying that guy up on a lead. He just kind of like free flows now. Well, come on over here. I love the firefly bushes in combination with the like, this is supposed to be like kind of like mossy, like algae rocks kind of deal because it's supposed to be wet. Coming down here, I also did a little bit of work with the waterfalls. So they don't just like go all the way down to the mist. They kind of just fade into the mist. So they're supposed to be like misting off into the distance kind of deal, like that. And then of course, as you guys have seen up there, I also did everything on down here. And I will say, having the happy gas is quite nice for this. But now we need to get this dragon finished up so I can start working on the torii gates, which is going to lead into the Japanese cities on each side. And we need to start shaping up for the interior. So let's figure out exactly what we want to do with the backside of the dragon. Oh, and a little bit of a side note for those of you guys who are unaware, I do live stream every single moment of these builds. So if you guys want to kind of follow along and you guys want to learn how to build dragons, or you guys want to learn exactly how I build all of this type of stuff, I'm not using Lightmatica, I'm freehanding, and I'm doing my best to kind of teach you guys along the way with like the curvature of the dragon, the way that I'm terraforming, and the whole process. So if you guys are interested in that, you guys can catch a live stream over on YouTube or primarily over on Twitch. And I guess while we're at it, if I haven't asked you guys to do so already, I would greatly appreciate if you guys left a like on the video. These videos take me quite a while to put together. Obviously, there's a lot to these episodes, so giving it a little bit of a like helps the algorithm, helps out the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it. And subscribe if you're a nerd. We got clouds, spikes, and rainbows now. Check it out. I absolutely love the way this is all turning out. Yeah, it's our dragon ferret, but it's our dragon ferret, and I love it. So, just like, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Raya the Last Dragon at all, but kind of like the same sort of concept. For those of you guys who have seen it, probably understand what I'm about to say. But this dragon doesn't fly. This dragon actually walks on the sky. And how does it walk on the sky? Well, it creates clouds underneath its feet. These clouds create rain, which is where the rainbow comes into play. I thought that was kind of a really cool little idea to bring to life a lot of like what we got going on around here, because there's a lot of coral on the roof here. How does that coral even survive? Well, the water dragon up here keeps everything alive. Yeah, there's no rain coming out of the clouds yet. Like I said, I'm going to figure out exactly how I want to have rain coming out of these clouds. And then we have a few little clouds over here that are kind of just trickling off into the distance. Kind of gives you a little bit of a direction as to like where the dragon is coming from. It's coming from from the ocean and jumping up over top kind of the palace, if you will. I think this is kind of more of like a palace. I don't know exactly what that is, but it looks cool. The rainbow I thought was a really nice addition to kind of bring something in behind all the towers underneath the dragon, and I am absolutely loving this build so far. As in for the dragon, I did add in little bits of pink terracotta just to add a little bit of like tints. We have some netherrack just to kind of add a little bit of shadowing. You don't zoom in on this sort of stuff, just so you guys know, when you're building and texturing organics and whatnot, it's best to just look at it from a distance. Unless I wanted to be up close to this guy, then it would make a lot more sense. Yeah, I know the gates don't connect, but that's okay, because when we're looking at it from way over here, now it looks like the gates do connect. You know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So a little bit of the texturing of the dragon. Maybe we'll come up with a little bit of the darker prismarine patches that we could put underneath the dragon. But overall, I think the composition is beautiful, and we're definitely getting there. We're finishing off this whole dragon bit right here. That way we can start building up our torii gates that are going to lead into the Japanese cities. And I can start finally mapping out how I'm going to do the interior, and we can start building ourselves some really cool farms. Well, we now officially have ourselves a torii gate. Big shout out to Yoshimi for telling me exactly what a Japanese torii gate looks like and what it signifies. So if we look at this place as it's a sacred area, and we have the dragon up here, which is kind of like a goddess-like figure, these torii gates right here are supposed to protect this sacred place from the ocean for safe passage, which I think is a perfect way to go into our Japanese city, but we won't be working on that just yet. Instead, I've been mapping out the interior of this whole area, and I'm loving the way everything is shaping up. I've got a lot of farms to incorporate. Right here, we're going to build an aquarium, which is going to have like an Atlantis kind of deal inside of the aquarium, which I think is a cool idea. Even cooler, we're going to be able to walk into the aquarium, and we're going to be able to access the farms within the aquarium. So we're going to have a coral fan farm right over here, kind of like towards the back, because that will probably take up the most amount of space. We'll have like seagrass farms, kelp farms, just little micro farms along the way. In the front here, we're going to have ourselves some blue axolotl farm. We're going to have the roses, the sunflowers, that other flower, and the other flower that looks like the other flower. You guys get what I mean. We're going to have a turtle egg farm. Right on over here, we've got additional micro farms. We're going to have the bush farm, the firefly farm, and the sweet berry bush farm. Then we're going to sneak in a sea pickle farm, This is going to be a carpet that we're going to walk on. I've mapped out a little bit of the interior wall and how it's going to go up against the exterior wall. I've got a little bit of an archway right here, which will help map out exactly how our ceiling's going to get placed in here. I'm also going to have a chandelier coming in from the very top of the ceiling, right on over there. And on this side, there's a couple more additional farms. So it's going to be wildflowers. We're going to have roots, pink petals, lichen, glowberries, and pale hanging moss. That should be a pretty good start. But if you guys are curious on how all those farms are going to be put together, I'll teach you each and every single one of those farms in the next episode, where we take on the interior of the palace right on over here. But unfortunately, we are out of time for today. I haven't even shown you guys the really cool, like, little coral areas over here. We have a little bit of a little bit of an Easter egg right here. Let me know if you guys know exactly where this Easter egg is from. It should be it should be pretty obvious. If you haven't liked the video, make sure you guys like the video. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, especially if you guys want to see some more builds like this, or even if you want to see this build continue on out. Hit that notification bell, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next episode.